We unpack. We unpack. We unpack. Coming to you live. Boxing Ego unpack. Yeah. We unpack. We unpack. We unpack. Coming to you live.
Shocking. Scandal. Mayhem. You come to the right place. If you like those three things, you have come to the right place. Shakur Stevenson finally admits it is a setup. That's right. You heard it. His next fight with Zepeda, he is being set up. And shockingly, Shakur Stevenson is aware of this. I will prove it in this video. You don't have to turn and watch any other videos. This video will show you the receipts from the top. Now, it's so funny. Your boy Ego is on point. Boxing Ego, I'm the one. Not two, not three. The best in the business, and it's not even close. I just made a video about this in the last 2 weeks. I think I made more than one, where Turkey introduced this new no running rule, and it's a hot topic because it could infiltrate or change the way the fights play out potentially. I mean, if you didn't want to give it a try, you didn't think it would do anything, you wouldn't implement such a rule. So that goes without saying. I've already made videos. Short story. Turkey, he's the Saudi front man with the money for Riyadh season and ring. He's paying the bills. He wants more entertaining fights. He is not trying to settle for Tom and Jerry fights, he calls them, where he feels one fighter is not doing enough and they're moving too much, right? Even though that's like old media talking point, because lateral movement is perfectly fine and acceptable. Hit and don't get hit. Boxing is perfectly accessible in the rule set, right? These are not, you're not breaking any rule, right? Anyway, that's that. Shakur Stevenson posted this, and it's so funny. Nobody else seems to be talking about this, but you came to the right channel. He posted this. George Kambosos' dad is training a fighter who's going to be on that card with Shakur in a separate fight, right? He has a fighter who he's managing that is fighting David Morrell. He revealed that it's going to be an 18-by-18 ring. Shakur's seen this, and he posted this. You guys see it on the screen. They think this matters, crying emoji. Even trying to set me up, all that ish gonna backfire. Now, you see what I just did there? You see what your boy Ego just did? I gave you the boxing news without a bunch of filth, flooring, and filth. Didn't come at you with a bloated intro or outro. I tell you all the time, a lot of low quality content in boxing, and people just put out whatever information. You have serial clickbaiters who, you know, the title doesn't even match what happens in the video. So when you clicked on this video and I said Shakur Stevenson set up, he's saying it from his own mouth. This is not like some loose interpretation, which a lot of content creators do, where they'll stretch the truth and, you know, the title will have all these words and none of it is actually true. That's true clickbait. I gave it to you real. So I'm going to read it again in case you doubt the steez. Shakur Stevenson says, they think this matters, the smaller ring, crying emoji, even trying to set me up, all that ish going backfire. You're hearing it from the horse's mouth. This is not like Boxing Ego. This is how I interpreted something where he didn't say that. He's literally saying that they're trying to set me up. Now, with that being said, Ego was right, Boxing Ego, and Gervonta Davis. Gervonta Davis said it's almost like a cult, right? He said a lot of people, they're going over and selling their souls. They even took a picture that looked very creepy, all these types of things. And he was referring to the fighters that need Turkey, so they ran over because he's the only one who doesn't have a stable and he's overpaying people at the moment, right? This is what Tank said. Your boy Ego pretty much said the same thing. And now we're starting to see real life things that the fighters should be worried about, right? Like Turkey is saying he wants smaller rings, not saying he's just doing it. He's saying he wants no quote unquote running Tom and Jerry fights. We know for a fact this, when you implement a rule like that, it's clearly going to affect certain people more so than others. There's a lot of brainless fighters. They always fight with heart. They don't have much else but bronze. So that's all they know, one mode. For me, that's not that impressive. All fighters have some level of courage to even step up and make this their career. So I'm not highly impressed with Rock'em Sock'em Robot, but it looks like Turkey is listening to the critics, going on Reddit, going on YouTube, going on Twitter, and seeing what people had said about some of his past events that were boring. And now he didn't like that poor feedback he was getting. So he decided to, I'm going to do something about it. You know, now we're going to make the fighters fight in a smaller ring. So highly questionable stuff going on. I can't wait to see how it plays out. But fighters like Shakur Stevenson that ran over to Turkey and Eddie Hearn in this side, it's now looking kind of suspect. You're saying out of your own mouth that they're trying to set you up, but it's not going to work, right? So basically, you're admitting they are trying to give William Zepeda the best fighting chance to do something with you or push for a harder fight. I get it from, you know, in terms of the fans and fans spend money and all that. Yeah, I get it. But what I'm saying is a boxer who this is their job and profession, they would like to make their money, get in and out, be healthy. Floyd Mayweather always told you, I have all my faculties. That is important to me, that I could leave the game with my head intact. I didn't get my brains battered and I'm punch drunk and I can't speak to my kids because I don't have my faculties and motor skills anymore, right? And my brains are mush. So most fighters, even the fighters that are warriors or quote unquote, you know, Rock'em Sock'em Robot type of fighters, everybody would prefer to have defense if they fought like that, period. I mean, who's going to want CTE? Who's going to want to be punch drunk? Who's going to want to be later in your career and then you're getting slept by up and comers because you have no defense and your chin is decimated, right? So we're in crazy times. You have people like Shakur Stevenson that are so good where they have to find different ways to make it more competitive, because instead of working on your matchmaking and maybe making a different match or a better match, you're making whatever fight you want and you think it's going to be a blowout. So you're doing stuff like this. So crazy times we're in. Shakur with the smaller ring. I also feel the smaller ring could backfire. And that's something that a lot of people aren't talking about. I see a lot of people saying, oh, small ring is going to be better. But I actually believe that there are ways for it to backfire, because you have smaller real estate to move around, but you still could move around. That's one thing. Two, it could create more clinching. If you're unfamiliar or that's uncharacteristic of you to be a head up phone booth type of fighter, if you're getting hurt in there, then you're going to look for survival. So you could see a lot more holding and a lot more clinching, which is also ugly as a sport. For excessive clinching and holding, it makes for an ugly fight. So it's a weird decision, in my opinion, for Turkey to have come out with this, but we'll see. You know, we'll see how it plays out. But Tank was right, Ego was right. That's what y'all need to know, because Tank told you about these guys need Turkey. Ego told you they need Turkey. And now you see what's happening over there, right? Where Devin Haney and Shakur Stevenson, black fighters, American fighters, this doesn't necessarily benefit them. If you look at Devin's last fight with Jose Ramirez, to say we're going to put you in a smaller ring so there's less Tom and Jerry antics. Devin was using the whole ring. So to me, this is a setup. And this is what I said. I made a video about it, and now Shakur Stevenson's talking about it. Notice a pattern. When Boxing Ego speaks, obviously what I'm saying is not that far off, because you end up hearing the fighters and champions parrot what I've already put out there. I literally put out my video saying Shakur is being set up, and then now he's saying they even trying to set me up. I mean, it's common sense. Let's say you're doing a dunk contest in the NBA and black athletes are dominating the dunk contest, and you don't like that, and you want to make it fairer for non-black athletes like Jeremy Lin or whoever, right? So for the dunk contest, because black people are dunking and doing these crazy dunks, that would be like you lowering the rim so as to make it more inclusive so other people can dunk. You know what I mean? Instead of just keep the rules what they've always been, you're literally going out of your way to lower the rim so more people will be able to dunk. That's how I see this with the whole smaller ring. Guys like Shakur, if Jose Ramirez cannot cut off the ring of Devin Haney, if William Zepeda throw all them punches and he's tough with power, if he can't figure Shakur out, that's his fault, period. It's his fault. Throw more punches, learn how to jab, you know, don't run out of energy, whatever you could do, that's really your fault. But to actually implement new rules or smaller rings, yeah, you really are being set up, because again, as I said from the beginning, this clearly would affect certain people more than others, and it would give on paper more of an advantage than the person otherwise would have had. Like when we have these A-side matches, if you're the A-side and you're looking for a bigger ring because you're a pure boxer and you're the A-side, you're going to get the bigger ring. You're not going to, the person who wants a smaller ring is always going to be the power puncher, the combination guy, the fighter who's more aggressive, because there's less work. They don't have to track you down as much, or so it seems, right? So clearly they knew what they were doing with this rule, and Shakur agrees with Boxing Ego that they're attempting to set him up. Now he's saying it's going to backfire and it won't work, but like Ego and Tank been saying, this is your side. This is how they treat you. They're treating you like this. Like, you're so good and you're hard to hit clean, so let's punish you for it and try to make the fights more entertaining, is what we're saying, by making the ring. So it's kind of like, it's not cheating, but it's kind of cheesy that a fighter can't cut the ring off to inflict pain. Like David Benavidez, man. Terrific fighter. He's one of the only modern day fighters who really will fight those tricky styles, and he don't really complain. He'll fight him a Caleb Plant. He'll fight him a Demetrius Andrade, an Anthony Durrell, a David Morrell, and he shuts up. He don't say nothing. He don't complain. He's like, put me in there with a boxer puncher. Cool. Put me in there with a guy like Caleb Plant, or put me in there with a guy like Demetrius Andrade, who are known to give people fits from boxing. Does not care. He's coming to get you. Put me in with big old Votstick, an Olympian. I don't care. That's a true fighter. That's a true fighter to me. They're not making the ring smaller for David Benavidez. He just, whatever the task is, I'm up for it. I'm trying to come get you, trying to knock you out, right? But some of these other fighters clearly aren't good enough. You've seen the Tevin Farmer fight, right? And people like Tevin Farmer, they'll miscategorize it like, oh, he's running. Basically, that's code words for a black fighter or a Cuban fighter. He's running. Tevin Farmer was right in front of William Zepeda, and he was giving him all the problems in the world, being in front of him. You know, Shakur Stevenson be in front of his opponents too, but I guess they need a boost. It's like when I was a kid and we would hop fences, me and my friends hop fences, I could climb up the fence by myself, support my own body weight, climb up. Good. Some some kids, they weren't strong enough to pull themselves up. They needed a boost. And that's basically what Turkey is doing. He's giving William Zepeda a boost and brawlers a boost. Let me make your job easier by making the ring smaller because you don't know how to cut off the ring, or you can't get around this puzzle from this scientific fighter. But again, the Benavidez's or Marcos Maidana, they didn't complain and overly complain about the various styles. They just handled business. So those fighters will always be forever respected. The Roberto Duran, Chavez, you know, they didn't really complain. They just got active and got it cracking. But to see Shakur being set up in such a way where they're literally changing rules, it's kind of weak, to be honest. And some people are going to be like, oh, it's to make boxing better. I disagree. But a lot of these fans, I don't care about your opinion because you don't ever be talking about anything. So I don't really care about your opinion as a boxing fan, to be honest. And my thing is this. I will say this, on the contrary to what I've said so far. There are a lot of young fighters who they are trying to look good, so they're not engaging. And that is something that it can be addressed, but I don't know that this is really the answer to it. I really don't. You know what I mean? Like, let's just keep doing a smaller ring. Like, I can't wait. Because then again, Turkey seems to like Terrence Crawford a lot. Wouldn't a smaller ring favor Canelo, the bigger person? So you're kind of setting Crawford up too, because most people don't see how Crawford not being able to stop Madrimov, how he would stop Canelo. I mean, I guess there are a few people who think he will stop him, but for me, I think the strength department, it favors the bigger guy with more experience at the higher weight. So are you going to do an 18 by 18 ring for that? And then the other conversation becomes, if you don't do an 18 by 18 from here on out, then to me, that's a sign of favoritism. So it's going to be real interesting to see how this plays out. For example, why Shakur versus Zepeda, that card with David Morrell, why would you do 18 by 18 ring for that? But then you're trying to schedule Better Bivol part 3. Do that in the 18 by 18 ring. Better Biev is a monster, so that would favor him, right? And then you probably won't put that in a smaller ring. So if we start getting into that territory, it's going to be a very interesting conversation, because normally what I've seen is when we have these ring dimension issues, I want a 20 by 20. Oh, make it a 22 by 22. When we have that, it's usually the A-side fighter, the fighter making the judgment call, because he has leverage and he is the A-side, so he has jurisdiction on some options, like maybe who walks out first, who gets the lion's share of money in ring size. That makes sense because he actually has to fight. But then when you start having the sponsor or the advisor, the person with money, that is the person coming in and changing the rules and saying, yeah, we're going to put this in an 18 by 18 ring. That becomes a bit gray area. And for me, it becomes more of a conflict of interest, because it's like, why are you, as the advisor, the Saudi advisor and money man, putting on the show? Why are you so invested in the product? And I'm telling you, from my experience in boxing, I call it playing God. Playing God in boxing does not work. Meaning you could have all the well-intentioned ideas